The High Republic is coming to an end. I forgot it still existed. Did you guys forget about the High Republic? Yeah, the only thing I remember from the High Republic was that a bunch of these books were already at Ollie's in the dollar store, and I'm seeing them at yard sales. I'm seeing them at thrift stores, and apparently it's ending. So they had a 5-year mission to boldly destroy Star Wars, and I think they were pretty successful in killing off a lot of interest in Star Wars. I'm going to be honest. The High Republic was a massive failures. They did the Young Jedi Adventures, I guess, was part of that too, and that was a disaster. Does anybody watch the show? Like, the toys went directly to Ollie's, and there are pallets full of these Young Jedi Adventures toys, and of course the Acolyte. We're going to talk about the Acolyte too. People were trying to use the end of the High Republic to make a case for bringing back the Acolyte, but the Acolyte was actually part of the High Republic project, and it is an abject failure. So they nuked the expanded universe, and they nuked it in favor of this shit. And now they're probably going to go back to the EU again, right? Because they need Knights of the Old Republic. They need more stories that actually have withstood the test of time. Nobody's going to remember any of these characters. Nobody's going to remember any of this stuff. And this was Kathleen Kennedy's doing. This was, as I understand it, this was Kathleen Kennedy and the Lucasfilm story group wanting to do stories about diversity in dinosaurs. You remember that whiteboard they had when this whole thing got announced? I can't believe it's been 5 years. They had a whiteboard, and they had everything on the whiteboard that was important to them in telling the stories. And they actually had like diversity in dinosaurs above like good storytelling and cohesive plot and characters that people actually give a shit about. Yeah. Wow. Who could have foreseen this being an unmitigated disaster? And again, this is just another sign, I think, that the pendulum is kind of swinging back, at least to center, or at least toward the center. Let's put it toward center. The pendulum swing back toward the center, because I don't think that current year Disney would have greenlit something like this. I think they would have looked at it and been like, yeah, this is absolutely going to drive off a whole bunch of our Star Wars fan base. It's very hokey. It's all the 2018 talking points, and that era of entertainment is over. It's over. We're gonna see some stuff get flushed through the pipes here in the next year or two, but that's going to be the end of it, I think, for the most part. I mean, there's still going to be stuff here and there, depending on who's making it and what audience they're making it for. But the whole purpose of the High Republic was to change the audience, I believe, of Star Wars. And then all the math, all the data says that despite that, the audience for Star Wars is still mostly middle-aged men. And that's it. It's middle-aged men. I'm sorry. You don't have to like it, but that's what the audience for Star Wars is. And none of this helped win anybody over, I don't think, to Star Wars. Actually, I think Darth Vader and Fortnite did more to win young people over to the dark side than Disney Star Wars did. If I'm being honest, right? So this is a bit of a eulogy we're going to talk about. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Go out to news.clownfishtv.com for more podcasts. We have more podcast content. We have a bunch of podcasts actually recorded. We need to get them up. We just haven't had time. Very, very busy last couple of weeks. And keep Sir Charles Toasty Butternut's Pendragon in your thoughts and prayers. He's dealing with a bout of hip dysplasia, and now we got to look at options for that. Probably surgery. I don't know. He's a good boy, but he's just kind of laying around. So we've been dealing with all that too. So anyway, let's talk about this. I got to give a hat tip to Indiana Blotto. The High Republic was over before it began. I wouldn't wipe myself with this if all the toilet paper in the world suddenly vanished. Dan, Star Wars centralized. Actually insane. The High Republic is officially over. Most people forgot about it after the first couple months, and then they kept like shoving it into everything. I hate that they retconned George Lucas's Star Wars, or at least expanded universe, and it just, I don't know. I thought it was trash. I thought the whole thing was trash. But thank you, Indiana Blotto, for the tip here. So the last thing that they're doing apparently is this comic book. We'll get to that, but let's talk about this. This comes from the Direct. Lucasfilm says goodbye to Disney's historic 5-year Star Wars experiment. Failed experiment. Star Wars experimental interconnected universes set in the High Republic era is over. The High Republic, Star Wars 5-year-long experiment in creating interconnected storytelling across multiple mediums has officially come to an end with the release of a one-shot comic. Just a one-shot comic. Like, how do we end this thing? Just do a comic, whatever. None of it matters. I'm going to tell you, I think a lot of stuff is going to get retconned out of existence. Probably on the watch of whoever the next boss at Lucasfilm is. I think a lot of this Disney era stuff is going to get retconned. And again, it's so weird. They try to make these new characters stick, and people want the old characters. They want characters from the EU. They want characters they care about. They don't want these new people. Who the fuck cares? Didn't half of these people get killed off in the Acolyte anyway? Spoiler. The High Republic began in 2021, and in the coming years led to more than 24 novels, over 100 comic books, and more being released within that timeline. Yeah, a lot of these comics were trash and people didn't read them. It started out strong. Sales started out strong. I think people were curious, or, they were trying to buy off the New York Times bestseller list, because that also is a thing that happens. It really does happen. I don't know. But all these books are still on clearance at Ollie's. They're still sitting there and nobody cares. On July 30th, The High Republic, the finale, was officially released. Subtitled The Beacon, the one-shot comic marked the end of Disney and Lucasfilm's publishing initiative known as The High Republic, meaning that it also brought an end to the Interconnected Universes Phase 3. The issue was written by Cavan Scott, an author and mastermind behind the High Republic storytelling. Its official synopsis teased that one last celebration will take place, decisions made, and their fate will be sealed. Yeah, it's over, man. I don't know who any of these characters are. I don't care. Remember, was it Geode, the rock person? It was just a rock that piloted a spaceship. Remember? No, you don't remember that? Nobody does. Multiple variant covers. Of course, multiple variant covers for the issue have already been revealed, including one of Anakin Skywalker and Dooku. Yeah, okay. So, let me get it straight. The whole purpose of this was to introduce all these new diverse characters that people were supposed to fall in love with and see themselves in. And we have to do a cover featuring Anakin Skywalker, Count Dooku, and Grievous. Characters people actually care about. I'm just saying this is how we're going to sell this book. Nobody's going to buy it for the characters nobody knows, but they'll buy it for Anakin Skywalker. The comics release is officially bringing the High Republic to a close. That does not mean the era will never be explored in Star Wars in the future. No, I don't think it's going to be. I think they're done. Just that the interconnected story knows the High Republic is over. So yeah, the Light of the Jedi, I still see these at Ollie's for like $2 or something. Before that, the High Republic was known as Project Luminous. Back in 2018, this is, Justina Ireland and Charles Soule, Cavan Scott, Claudia Gray, all these people that spend a lot of time online complaining about politics. Got announced, overarching story, blah, 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 blah. Did they talk about sales? It's worth noting that other Star Wars projects have been set during the High Republic. For example, Disney Plus's The Acolyte and the Young Jedi Adventures take place within the High Republic era. Young Jedi Adventures, a massive, massive failure. If toy sales are to be believed, I don't think any kid is actually willingly watching this shit. But they're not part of the publishing initiative. Yeah, well, it's part of the whole thing. I mean, it is. Another positive is that brought a core group of writers together and allowed them to create the creative freedom to build the entire High Republic franchise. Oh, they could pull from this for TV shows and movies and shit. No, they're not going to. I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to look at like that was a huge fucking waste of time and money. Nobody likes anything from that era. The High Republic books were a failure. The comics were a failure. The kids show was a failure. And the Acolyte was a failure. But that's okay. They're still trying to get another season. Of course they are. Of course they are. Star Wars, The Acolyte Return wins huge support from fans. It's not returning for a second season, though. They're not giving up on it altogether. What are they doing? Are they going to do a comic book tie-in? Is that what they're doing? A live-action future remains non-existent. Lucasfilm has released 3 related projects this year alone, which I recommend. So a visual guide, a book, The Wayseeker by Justina Ireland, and Star Wars The Acolyte, The Crystal Crown by Tessa Grattan. So again, books, because it's not worth doing another season of the show, and they're not going to. It's over. It's over, guys. Why did they cancel? We don't understand. They're bringing toys out. Hasbro's still making new merch based on the Acolyte because it takes months. It takes months for this stuff to work its way through the production pipeline. They greenlit these characters. I guarantee you this was greenlit before the show dropped, and they probably didn't want to bring this guy, especially the dude with the smiley Darth Smiler, is that what they're calling? I don't know. Smiles Vader, Smiles Morales. I don't know, but they weren't going to bring him out before because it was a huge spoiler. So they're going to wait until after the show's over. But they honestly probably thought there was going to be a season 2. I don't know. It's Hasbro. Hasbro anymore. Like, why the hell you would even take a chance on any Disney Star Wars at this point? Anything Disney. I mean, Vaders and Kenobis and Han Solos and Palpatines and Lukes and Leias, they're all rotting on shelves. Inconceivable 10 years ago. Absolutely inconceivable. And here we are. This guy's, yeah. They might make so few of him, though, that he winds up being worth a lot of money. I mean, that actually happened with the Netflix She-Ra. They released dolls at the end of the series, and I think they were only at Target. And they actually go for a lot of money now because there weren't very many of them. They were on clearance as soon as they were released. I remember, like, the day they dropped, our Target had them for like $3. And we didn't buy them because they look like shit. And Geeky hated the show. And she has like all the She-Ra stuff. And she's like, I ain't touching those with a 10-foot pole. Well, nobody did. And they sat there for a while. And now they're worth like a ton of money because nobody wants them. But so there you go. There's a reason to buy some of this High Republic shit. Maybe in 10 years, somebody will want it and be like, I'm nostalgic for the High Republic. You know, my 2 moms tried to get me to read it when I was in middle school. And I told them to piss off. I was too busy playing Fortnite. But now I'm all into it. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. There it is. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Should we have an Ewok celebration? I should talk to Geeky about that. Maybe we should have an Ewok celebration. We'll talk to you later. For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com.